Mr. Ranjan Bhasin and Ms. Gunjan Gupta are here with us now. Good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am. Hope you are doing well. Good evening, everyone. I, Arushi Arora, proudly commence today's Leadership Luminaries on behalf of Team Corporate Interaction Division. Ms. Gupta has more than 20 years of experience in driving digital transformation initiatives across diverse industries, possesses exceptional leadership abilities. She has successfully led global teams for prominent organizations such as HSBC, Fidelity Investments, Bajaj Alliance, Barclays, and Philips, and is known for her inclusive leadership style. She's an expert at harnessing value from data and has been recognized for her expertise at industry forums. Mr. Bhasin has more than 23 years of experience in information technology, automation, and AI. Mr. Bhasin possesses exceptional leadership abilities. His areas of experience include data analytics, AI, and digital strategy. He has played a pivotal role in setting up transformation and automation COE leveraging AI, hyperautomation, and cloud services. Prior to his current role at Greystar, Mr. Bhasin has worked with companies such as EXL and HCL Technologies. Okay, so before we start with this talk, I would like to ask everyone, how many people are worried about their job placements? And that's a big number. So eventually all of us are worried about our job placements. Okay, so all of us are here to talk about the future of work, how AI is transforming job roles and skills. The job market in India is grappling with high unemployment, underemployment, and precarious work. The rapid advancement of artificial intelligence adds to these challenges by disrupting traditional employment patterns. We have been hearing that a lot, that job markets have been heavily affected in the recent times, and AI has been contributing to this notion. AI has been all over the place. So before starting or diving deep into this conversation, I would like to ask and have your opinion on what is AI? Yes, yes. You just have to press it long press. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you everyone for taking our time. I see a lot of smart faces. At the same time, I see a lot of concerns. Just chill out a little bit. And her question was very, very timely, that who is concerned or who is concerned about their placements. But let me just come to the point. I think let's just first understand what is not AI. And then we'll talk about what is AI. And the acronym AI means artificial intelligence. Something that you can do, maybe a simple application like a college management system. It's not an AI. My phone able to do a phone call. It's not an AI. I'm able to speak on this speaker. It's not an AI, right? So something which is traditional automation, traditional software is not an AI. In a very simple terms, and you will find it maybe closer on internet as well, a system or a computer which can go closer to human beings, go closer or can mimic the human behavior is what you can term as artificial intelligence. Human has, if I say, 5 senses. They can see, speak, hear, smell, and then feel. In these 5 senses, if you go closer, which means a system which can see, computer vision, a system which can hear, this this voice, if it gets converted into text and text into meaning, the system is hearing, is AI. System which can speak, something which the system can speak. Alexa, turn this music on. Alexa is hearing, and Alexa is then speaking back in terms of the music, irrespective where it's coming from. Of course, AI cannot eat, AI cannot sense, but very soon AI may be able to feel. I don't know, maybe, right? So something which is closer to these senses. And just 30 more seconds and then I'll stop. All these things, there are many terms, as I said, available in internet. Just think about in this way. Wherever you have immense, humongous numbers, audio, video, text, images, right? I repeat, humongous numbers. Humongous means maybe billions of numbers in the data set. Millions of images, millions of videos, audio clippings, or text, which means words, letters, sentences. And with anything on top of this data set, when you predict or when you generate, which means predict, forecast, generate, learn, recommend, that's AI. We can talk more. We will get opportunities to ask questions also. That's my answer.
Thank you so much, sir, for putting it into simpler terms. But as you said, that AI is going to be more human-like. So there's a growing fear that AI is wiping out jobs left and right. Which sectors do you think will be hit the hardest by the wave of automation and intelligent systems?
Okay, that question keeps coming in every session that I've been to, maybe since last more than 10 years. And it's not just these sessions, but in the corporate sessions also, people are very concerned. First of all, AI will not kill or AI will not take away any job. Okay, let's be very, very clear. AI will augment. AI will strengthen. AI will give power. AI will help. AI will aid. AI will support jobs. Read, think, since last 200 years, how things have evolved, how we used to commute. Trains came, aeroplanes came. Now aeroplane is itself a fully digitized system. But have we lost our jobs? No. Why? Because this whole system needs people to manage, to further enhance. And then by grace of God and by grace of ourselves, the population is growing. So I don't think that artificial intelligence as a concept, as a technology, will take away job. One tangent that I want to give you or just share, 20 years back, 30 years back, when somebody says, or maybe 40 years back, when somebody says that, hey, I become a graduate, it used to be a point of credibility, right? Because you will get a job of maybe 5,000 rupees per month or 10,000, whatever. But today, if somebody says I'm a graduate, doesn't make any sense, right? If you say I am postgraduate, okay, nice. But if you say I'm a postgraduate with a skill set, that's where, things start taking shape. So with AI, people who are simple data entry operators, okay, maybe just level 1, their jobs will get impacted. However, if you see, all of us have started to learn, and L0, which means the base work, copy paste, that job is done, is over. Nobody's doing that. So automatically, the ground job is now level 1. After 20 years, the ground job will be level 2. Doctors today do check MRIs, right? But that's a level 1 job for doctor. Once doctor gets a combination of reports from hundreds of MRIs, That's a level 1 job for the doctor. Doctor will be able to easily identify the protocol in the next course in 10 minutes. Today it takes days because doctor is doing a level 0 job. So net, it won't impact, it will help the jobs.
Okay, so thank you so much for that input. I would like to know some use cases of AI in key industries such as banking, insurance, and healthcare.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Arushi, for the question. And thanks, Ranjan, for setting the base. And I want to thank the audience for really being so well dressed. It's after, I think, years that I'm seeing a room full of such smartly dressed people. So thank you for making the effort. So, I'm going to build on the examples based on the definitions that Ranjan provided as to what is AI. So as Ranjan said, AI is all about a system or a process that mimics the human thinking in terms of making decisions, making choices, making predictions. And all of this is, based on the data, because everything that we are doing, the digital footprints that we are leaving, people browsing the web, leaving behind their choices, their purchase patterns, it is all data. It's your purchasing behavior which gets translated into digital bytes. And then these are the digital bytes on which there are machine learning models which are built, which, to Ranjan's point, either predict or generate or make a decision or make a choice, which results in artificial intelligence, something which can really uh, uh, I wouldn't say take over, it can substitute for some of the human effort. Now, coming to specific examples, I'll start with banking and insurance. So banking and insurance as an industry has been a very early adopter of analytics and AI, simply because of the amount of data they had. And remember, Ranjan said that you need to have huge amounts of data for AI to be created, for machine learning models to be built, which are stable and which can be relied upon. So in banking and insurance, the use case which has been extremely popular and has added to the bottom line of companies is fraud detection. So AI or machine learning models are capable of analyzing trends which are happening, the anomalies which happen, and then they are able to predict if there is a certain customer which is showing some sort of a erratic behavior, which can be matched to somebody who would have done a fraud in the past. The AI is then able to generate a score or a probability of a certain person committing a fraud, which enables the banks and insurance companies to take proactive measures to kind of save their bottom lines. The other use case, which is very common, is ascertaining underwriting risk. So when you go to take an insurance policy, there is a certain assessment that has to be made about your health, for example, or your propensity for getting into an auto accident. And that is based on your past behavior. And that is where, again, your AI and machine learning is to predict a score.
Right.
So the premium rate which is quoted to you, that is dependent on a risk score which is running in the background. And one of the Indian companies which has done a stellar job of doing underwriting risk is Bajaj Finserv. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bajaj Finance and the cards that they give out at the point of sales. And theirs is a system in the background where they've linked your Aadhaar, they've linked your credit history, they've seen your banking transactions, and it's done in a matter of minutes. If you were to go to a Chroma or a Vijay Sales and say, hey, I want a Bajaj Finance card, I think it takes them just about 10 minutes. They take your Aadhaar and they have this entire system running in the background, and your score comes in, and that's, when they decide whether to give you a loan or not. Oh, yeah. They've done a pretty stupendous job of using data. The other thing is personalization of services. So I'm sure in your marketing, at least in my time, there was an example which was very popular. Why are diapers and beer kind of placed in the same aisle? And that was based on purchasing behavior of new parents. to deal with the stress of a new baby. They needed the beer.
Right.
So these are the kind of things. So this is where the data which is being generated by your behavior, in the background, it's analyzed by companies, and then they come up with specialized offers, specialized products that are pitched to you. Coming to healthcare, I think Ranjan already alluded to it. There have been huge strides made in the speed and accuracy of diagnostics. So now with machine learning, there is intelligence which comes based on the MRI scans, based on the X-rays, which aid the doctors, making the diagnosis. Because there are certain tumors or spots that probably get missed by the naked eye, which are then caught by the machine. And then again, a risk score is given to the doctor, which obviously has to be verified. I mean, just based on the machine output, one is not going to say whether you have a certain disease. But the point is, it really helps the doctors be more productive in what they are doing and being more productive in their jobs and accurate in their diagnosis. One other thing in healthcare is not as glamorous as, decisions and diagnosis. It's about patient management. So a lot of these tasks have been automated in hospitals. There is billing, there is maintaining customer records, patient records, producing it when needed. And this has helped save a lot of time for the actual caregivers. They can focus more on taking care of the patient than doing the administrative stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I could go on more, but in interest of time, I'll
That was quite insightful, and that's a different perspective to it altogether. But I have another question that gets back to what skills should individuals acquire to avoid becoming obsolete in the industries increasingly dominated by AI? So, as an MBA student, what skills our students should acquire so that they do not go obsolete in the market?
Yeah, no, great question. And it's truly top of mind for all of us. So when Ranjan asked who's worried about their job, I was the first one to raise my hand. But one thing I would really like to say, AI is not going to take away jobs. But if you don't learn how to harness it in your jobs, then definitely one is at risk. Now, in terms of acquiring skills, um, I think I'll categorize them into three types of skills. One is technical, the other is interpersonal, and the third is business or domain specific. In terms of technical skills, I think data engineering is kind of key. So I know we've gone through that whole cycle of business intelligence, being a data analyst, becoming analytics, then becoming a machine learning engineer. And data engineering as a field has not gotten too much of attention, but that is what is key for generating AI and ML models. And data engineering is not so glamorous, just a word of caution, because it's all about features engineering, knowing your data, understanding which are the features or the columns which may be affecting the output, what needs to go into the model. And it's all about ascertaining data quality, because at the end of the day, the model will predict what you feed into the model. And it's very simple, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So data engineering is all about ensuring that your data quality is accurate. You have the domain, your feature engineering. And more recently, we were talking about prompt engineering. I mean, there's LLMs and generative AI now. And there is a dire need for LLM architects. That's an emerging field where I think people should really build their skill set. The other is getting some knowledge, at least of AI and machine learning algorithms, because truly they are just a handful of them. Either they are for classification, or they are for prediction, or they are for ascertaining a certain relationship. But at least knowing what is to be used where, for what kind of data, would, in my mind, is very essential today. Third, in the technical realm, is learning the languages. I mean, Python and R has been very key for AI, and folks really need to be able to code at some level. And Python is a really easy language to learn, because compared to the traditional coding languages that we've had in the past. The other thing is, which AI can't really mimic, is emotions, as
Right.
Ranjan had said. And that's where your interpersonal skills are key. So please keep working on your emotional intelligence, collaboration, getting along with people, your communication, being able to communicate what is the data story. Just building a model, for example, is not enough. You need to be able to influence, communicate the value, getting it implemented into the workflows in an organization to really get value from it. And finally, it's the business and domain. Unless you're able to connect the dots, because see, at the end of the day, AI and ML are learning from the past. It is based on the past that they're able to make a certain prediction. But what happens when there is a completely, you know, different calamity which you had not ever been prepared for comes up? Look at COVID. Nobody had anticipated COVID. Even the best AI models could have never said that, based on the pandemics that we've been seeing, there will be something like COVID and to that scale, but it happened. And that's where your human intelligence and the basic human qualities are the ones that got us through. And the same thing happened, way back in 2008 when there was a subprime crisis in the US, where the housing industry completely collapsed. Nobody had seen it coming. And what do you do in such situations? Then there is no AI. It's just human AI. So the ability to connect the dots, be aware of what's happening around you, knowing the business and context.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am sure that students will be quite intrigued about these skills and would work on them. But there's another question that intrigues me at the moment: is that is AI only relevant with people from technical background?
Where are these questions coming from?
Well,
No, no, I think this is what I mean is that all of these are very intelligent and relevant questions. Uh, may I request show of hands who all think that AI is a technical skill? Okay, so few of them, okay, maybe 20%, 30%. I think it's very difficult and it may be not great to categorize anything just purely technical. I'll just take maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds. She said Python R. Any programming language may have a technical syntax, which means how you write, may be technical, but it's the base is problem solving. It's not a technical skill, right? If you have to sort 10 numbers and if you can write in English how you sort 10 numbers, it's coding, it's programming, right? You convert into a syntax, that's Python, that's C, that's Java, it's fine. Similarly, artificial intelligence, machine learning, analytics, it has a combination. She just said those three things, it has combination. You can say it's a technical thing because it requires, if you go deep root, it requires mathematics, it requires statistics, it requires Python, it requires maybe at times Power BI. But at the same time, it also requires software development life cycle. You have to analyze, you have to design, and then you have to test. And that happens within the AI life cycle as well. We require business analysis, which means I'm sure you would have done or you will be learning how to do a cost benefit analysis, a cost of implementing AI, a benefit of after implementing AI, then you do a delta. Is it making sense? Is it not making sense? It's not a technical skill, right? But you need people who can do that cost benefit analysis. You need people who can translate that cost benefit analysis into a story, right? You need people who can present. I probably am not a great presenter, right? But you need somebody. So it's a combination of technical and non-technical skills. We can go on and on such questions. Thank you very much again.
so moving ahead, the next question that I would like to ask is, will there be any new type of jobs emerging that students could prepare for in advance?
I can try answering that. So certainly, I mean, couple I've already mentioned. So there is this whole generative AI architect jobs that I see popping up now. But in terms of generic categories, I think AI ethics and policy is an emerging area because there are concerns about the bias that comes in AI and machine learning models. And like I mentioned, AI is generated based on past behavior and past data. Now, for example, if in an organization, and I'll take the US as an example, traditionally it's been white males who have been recruited into the organization. And there is a certain success profile just of that cohort of people. Now, if tomorrow you're trying to get more diversity, if there is a woman applying, if there is a person of color applying, just because of the fact that the AI never has that precedent, they are not able to tag them as a likely to succeed. It will still be your white guys who will get through the pipeline. So these are the kind of ethics and bias issues that organizations are grappling with. So while it has been able to analyze data, while it has been able to speed in some of our decisions, are they still the right decisions? We don't know. So that's an area where I think I see a future of jobs, ethics, policy, ESG, not related to data, but ESG and corporate responsibility is really, really big now. The other jobs which are coming is more on the technical side, AI architect, AI and machine learning developers, which are kind of coming up. The other area which I see emerging is any area which talks about human and AI interaction. As we start working more and more with machines, the entire UI, UX, user experience becomes very, very important. And that's an area which I think if one has skills, one will always have takers. Front end development, back end development, React, JS, those kind of things. So yeah, that's what I think in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As we know that AI is penetrating deeper in the organizations, so do you think will there be any change in the work culture on the employee level in these organizations?
Yeah, definitely. And so far, at least in my experience, the changes have been positive. Thanks to AI, thanks to data, thanks to automation. See, one thing which is happening more and more because of the way the infrastructure, the chips, things that make AI run, the way they've progressed, for example, NVIDIA, I'm sure all of you know about NVIDIA and the power horsepower it's providing. Making data-driven decisions has become a way of life for companies.
Exactly.
So more and more, the management requires you to come back with data to support your recommendation. Earlier, it used to be your intuition, your experience, just because you've been in the job for so many years. But no, all of that is changing, which in my mind is democratizing decisions. Now, everybody in the company has the means and the know-how to, behave like an owner in the company, have equal stakes. They have equal access to information. The other thing that is, I think, changing is job augmentation. So for example, whenever we have meetings, up until now, we used to assign one person to actually take the minutes of the meeting, to
Right.
circulate, to make sure that they are being chased around. And usually it used to be an executive assistant or an EA or somebody whose job was just to take those minutes. And suddenly now we have Copilot in Microsoft Teams. If you look at Zoom, they have something else where AI is now actually listening to you, summarizing the discussion, generating the minutes, the follow-ups with the names. And look at the amount of time it has saved for people. Because
Right.
more often than not, you would do a pretty shoddy job. Let's just complete something and send it off. So I think, yes, AI in the workplace, in my mind, is leading to more transparency, better decision making, democratization of information, and of course, job augmentation and way more collaboration and transparency.
I am glad that the change that's happening in the organization is on a positive front rather than going on the negative side. Okay, so apart from AI, how important it is for the managers to embrace skills into data analytics, sir?
I'm also glad that everyone is awake. Yeah, no, I think this is a very smart. I mean, of course, in the whole set of questions, this is again bringing the aspects of why and how a manager, and you all, will shortly be getting into those shoes. I'll pick two, three terms or two, three words in this question: manager, and then data analytics, right? How, why, we will try to understand and maybe self introspect a little. But manager's job is to, I see that manager's job is somewhere in the middle, and his or her job is to manage things and teams. Yeah, but you bring a delight, or you bring a wow factor when you start talking about value. How you do it, irrespective. If you embed, if you deliver value, then you get 101 out of 100, right? And how do you do that? The answer is in the question itself. It says data analytics. Now, data, first of all, Gunjan just mentioned about the importance of the data. We need to ensure that what is my, cycle, or what is my mapping, right? From start to end. Now, imagine my day goes, I get up, I get fresh, take breakfast, go to office, then do something, then come back. In this whole cycle, if I analyze every step, then I would be able to create value. If I get up at 6 a.m., maybe, and if I'm not successful, maybe I have to get up at 5:45 or even 6:45, because I may be fresh, I may not be fresh. The point that I'm trying to drive is we need to create that cycle, or that mapping of end-to-end cycle, which talks about data everywhere at each step. Input of data, what is output, what is being processed. Each step, input, output, process. And then at each step, we will integrate the analytics. Analytics is not a dashboard. Analytics is not a line. Analytics is not few bars which we are showing. Analytics is getting, with the help of these dashboards, we get to the root cause, and then we recommend. Performance of 20-member team is because of ABC reasons. It's fine, easy to identify with the data. But who is creating that value? Who is creating that delight? Who is being at 101 out of 100? Which manager? Who gives recommendations based on data? I think that's what I feel.
So a quick question I would like to ask. First, let's say you are creating your own team from these students. What are those analytical skills that you're going to pick up? The set of skills that you would like to pick up from the students whenever you're creating a team.
Want to pick up, or should I go ahead?
I can take a stab at that. So I think really leave the technical skills aside.
Yeah.
As kind of Ranjan also mentioned, it's easy to pick up with the Python and R. I think what I would be looking for are the basic skills that all of you are hopefully honing in your MBA program. Critical thinking, problem solving, being able to communicate and analyze a business case, identifying the problem statement, coming up with a solution design, and then project management and teamwork skills to make it happen. So, data is one thing, building models is one side. More important in an organization's context is being able to communicate the data story, as we call it.
Right.
Because despite the value that data has delivered, there is still a lot of resistance in the companies and in the employees to go ahead and adopt it, because some people are afraid of data, some people are afraid of math, and there's a lot of resistance. So till you're able to pinpoint the problem, how is it going to make your life easier if you were to implement this particular decision support model in your workflow it's not going to happen. So we need somebody who understands the business, identifies the problem, figures out if there is data available to automate that point, and being able to influence everyone
Right.
to use it is what I would be looking for.
Can I add just for 15 seconds?
Yes.
I'm facing a problem today, right now, where there is in the organization where there is a problem of collaboration, orchestration. Maybe another key skill, or collaboration is a key skill, and you would experience that wherever you go. That it is a very key and niche skill that we need to develop. How do we get our agenda fit into the others' agendas?
Okay, thank you so much, sir and ma'am, on this note. I would like to ask another question. How should educational institutions adapt their curriculums to better prepare students for AI-driven jobs?
Yeah. So I don't know. Don't give me negative marks
Not at all, sir.
if I say something which maybe it's not in the curriculum.
So we will adapt to that curriculum, obviously.
Awesome. So that should be the attitude for everyone, including me. Thank you. See, I think Gunjan touched this a little bit, but I believe that across any stream, whether it is engineering or management or anything, I believe that there has to be a little bit of mathematics and statistics which everyone should actually understand. You know, uh, I learned what is actual meaning of differentiation just 2 years back. I had no idea. I was just doing dy by dx when I was in 12th class. I had no idea what does it actually mean. Same week, same month, I understood what is actually integration mean, right? So we don't have to cram things, right? But just understand what is it. Number one. Number two, a little bit of problem solving, as she mentioned, Python, R, right? I think those things should be taught to everyone. Just basics, just very basics. Don't get into the details. Maybe, as I said, up to a level of how do we sort a number. That's thing. And I think one more is about how the functional or the interpersonal skills, like if somebody has to do project management, right? People say it's an acquired skill, it's an easy skill, but I think it's a job of orchestration, how you build things, how you bring things together, and then present the story, what has happened in the last 1 week or 1 month. So a little bit about the SDLC slash SPM, which is software development lifecycle slash software project management. How do we do that? The basics of it. And I believe that every university, every college does this, all of these 3-4 things that I mentioned. But I think if I would like anyone to get into my team, then I would really look these things. And I don't want that person to be an expert. It's fine. As long as he or she is able to touch upon it, we will be happy to train it.
It's a great news that we're already learning these skills in our colleges. And
Super.
as we've been focusing on problem solving as a skill, I think that's now what we're going to adapt in our attitude also. And that's very important to be a part of the corporate.
Correct.
Moving to our next question. What ethical considerations should be addressed as AI becomes more integrated into the workforce, especially with respect to digitalization? We see a lot of deep fakes going around in the market.
Sure. I think I will give 100 out of 100 to this question, right? And why? Because this is a need of an hour. And when we say ethics, what ethics have to go into the development of the AI, development of the team, development of a COE, Center of Excellence. In my mind, it is very difficult to track something, as Gunjan just said, garbage in, garbage out. If our input data is bad, or imagine there is a cycle, A to B to C. The data came from A got bad in B, and then C will give us bad data or bad output, right? So the ethics means that we should have data quality integrated and embedded in the system, right? Now, how do we do that? It's a huge topic because there are many things which come into data quality. Basically, if I give you a short 5-second answer, you need to find out how the data gets drifted from the expected values. Let's take an example. The average age of uh, uh, an Indian is 90 years. Do you believe this?
No.
No. So that's a drift, right? That's a problem, which means for every data point, if you have a mechanism to find the drift, I think you will be able to manage. The second broad pillar is how do we do embed observability or explainability, which means the data can be observed by key metrics, logs coming into it, alerts coming into it, coming in the system or going out of the system, warnings coming out of the system. So you should be able to confidently say that my data or my model or my system or my AI solution is highly observable, which means if somebody wants to observe, monitor my data, I have enough parameters, enough metrics, enough system, enough robustness into the system. All of this is English, but deep, it is nothing but logs and alerts and warnings.
Thank you so much for that answer, sir. Moving to our last set of questions, what are the key factors that will determine whether the future of work will be more inclusive and equitable due to AI advancements?
That's a pretty terrific and question requires some thought. So, I mean, yeah, I think at least I personally am very, very optimistic about the impact of AI in the workplace. But I mean, a very pertinent question. It's going to depend on a lot of foundational factors that have to fall in place before that can happen. First, and I alluded to it earlier as well, is all about the AI ethics and taking care of the bias. So great, you managed to automate the decision making. You've used a lot of data, but was it the right decision to start with?
Right.
And that is the question that needs to be answered before blindly deploying AI or using or harnessing the power of AI. The second, I think, in my mind, is also having a very diverse workplace so that you can take into account, not just the very optimistic view of AI that I carry, but you need to have guardrails in place. You need to have people around you who can challenge you and who can ask you the right questions. That is the second in my mind. Third is the legal framework and the regulations which are coming from the government to ensure that AI is used ethically, that there is no bias, it's making the right decision, it's not marginalizing people or putting it in danger. In my mind, these would be very essential to ensure that we get the positive aspects of AI into the workplace.
I agree, ma'am. Thank you so much for this one. So we floated a questionnaire with the students, and they wanted to. One question that kept coming back was, "How does your day look like in the office?" So one thing that they really wanted to know. So I would like to ask both of you, how does your day look like in the
It
office?
needs 8 hours to answer.
Yeah, I think in my roles, so I have been in data management, data analytics roles for a while now. And, as I have kind of become tenured in my journey, as I have risen up the ranks, there is more time which now goes into more of thought leadership, influencing, in meetings, either with the senior management or with stakeholders, ideation, than doing the actual work. And that's a gradual shift which has happened. Early in my career, it was more about being very, very hands-on. They were tasks which were defined for me. They were deadlines which were defined for me. And I had a very siloed view of what I was doing. Everything was very well defined. I just had to make sure that I meet that deadline in the best possible way. And as I have grown more into people management and leadership roles, the I think the focus is more now on, like I said, it's on ideation, it's on making sure what's happening around the company, being able to identify opportunities, connecting the dots, and obviously influencing stakeholders to kind of use your solution, motivating your team, giving them a plan, and making sure that the team kind of moves in the same direction.
That seems to be quite an interesting and productive day. And how is yours, sir?
Uh, I think quite similar to what she explained, but our organization has just started our delivery operations in India since last 18 months. So I have some key deliverables to, cover up. There are two broad uh, pillars that I'm focusing my time on. One is hiring across multiple groups, supporting our global stakeholders, right? So I may not get into every interview, but still giving that thought behind what to do, how to do. And second, which takes 80% of my time, is again, I'm setting up an automation COE. I'm getting another opportunity because I did that prior as well. But here, the best thing is that, and I've been telling this to everyone, that uh, we all have to be technology agnostic, which means that there has to be no one single technology that we should be inclined towards. We should understand technology, and then if given a chance, we can learn one or two, technical skill sets. But yeah, those two are things. And then third, which even I invest time outside of my 9 hours, even on weekends, is learn something, whatever you wish, whatever you want to. Maybe, learn how to swim. That's fine, but learn something.
I'm looking up to both of yours journey in this case. So, what is one piece of advice you would like to give to the young person aspiring to follow your career path?
I already answered, by the way. The third point that I answered earlier is what I would tell you. I So I'll give a story. February 2017, there was a session which was happening in my prior company, and they took a term called machine learning. I thought, what the hell is this machine learning? What is machine going to learn something? Then since that month till today, there has been not even a single weekend that I have not learned something new. Even for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's fine. But invest in learning, invest in building yourself. That's my message to everyone.
And what about you, ma'am?
Yeah, fully agree and endorse what Ranjan said. Continuous learning, because things are changing so rapidly that you cannot survive unless you are on top of the curve. The one thing I would mention in addition is adaptability. I mean, you have to be flexible, you have to be open to change without getting overwhelmed or anxious about what is happening. Keep a positive mindset. Things, whatever happen for the good. But don't be, too stuck on your ways of working. This is my degree, this is my specialization, and this is how things should happen. Yeah, there's never a should happen in life. Things just happen, and you got to be open to what's coming your way.
So, we should always be ready for the change. Yes, exactly. To be optimistic, to move forward. So we'll now proceed with the Q&A round. Now the students can raise their hands and ask their questions one by one.
Easy ones, please.
Okay, so one second. Okay.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Riddhi Mehta, and I'm pursuing financial management. And my question to you is that you just mentioned about the positive impacts of AI on the jobs. So, like, is there any negative impact also, apart from the ground level jobs being taken away? Like, apart from that, is there any other negative impact?
I will give my thought process, and I'm sure Kunjan will add. Yes, there is a negative impact. People are trying to get into systems, hack. People are trying to mimic the end users, right? And bypass the authentication of the systems. And then again, keep on attempting the frauds. uh, and then the inadvertent impact, then not I will say negative, but a side effect can be we all have heard about the autonomous cars, right? If those cars are not very well trained, then it can have a threat to life. So I'm just giving you different dimensions. It can have impact, but it needs to be in hands of humans. So this is where we all come into the picture. AI can do job blindly, but to control, to manage, humans are there.
Yeah, just adding on to what he said, um, I think the negative effect of AI would be if it is used recklessly and blindly. I mean, to his point, yes, a model's been created and you just keep on actioning based on the predictions of the model without doing the human intelligence check. Yeah, we'll be in big trouble. So there always has to be a human in the loop to take care of the pitfalls and the negatives.
Thank you, sir, for making all of us aware about the importance of humans also. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. So my name is Prityush Agrawal. I am a second year student pursuing finance and marketing. So I had a question basically. So with the recent boom in AI, we are seeing that and the economy as well taking into that account. So there is a shortage of semiconductors and chips that has been going on and the amount of resources that have been depleting as well. So, and we could even see that with the boom in AI startups as well, and the companies that are taking that into the R&D sector as well, that has been on the increase as well. So how do you see that going into the future? That what like the importance of that, and how will it impact the future? If you could shed some light into it.
So let me paraphrase your question. There is a shortage of semiconductors, and I would say globally.
Yeah.
And then how do we, so just help me understand just the whole question.
So basically, like in the future, like if we are seeing the amount of resources that are getting lesser and lesser.
Yeah.
So how will we able to take that like we are seeing that increase in R&D as well, and how can these companies extract less amount of these resources and help them
Okay.
further?
See, we all should understand, first of all, you can please be seated. This whole domain or industry requires billions of investments. We all understand that, right? This is one industry which is very, very, I will say, money hungry. And that is where India government is supporting it, but supporting to the biggies of the businessmen. Now, manufacturing is more towards automation, right? Once you bring that chain of manufacturing automated, remember the chain A to B to C. Once you have that chain automated, you will get data out of A and then B and then C, right? You will be able to recommend, you will be able to predict, you will be able to seamlessly manage. However, and that will actually be managing the depletion of resources. However, in the long run, you will require more people actually to manage the data, to get the insights of the data, right? I think the broad construct of my answer to your question is it needs a lot of investments, first of all. And that is where we are dependent on countries like China to, import the semiconductors to India and other countries? Yeah, great question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
I just want to add to your question. So I'll take the example of LLMs, the chat GPTs of the world. And right now, we all know they are way too expensive to be used. And to your point, yes, it's the semiconductor problem and the chip problem. And right now, we just have NVIDIA, which is like really, really expensive. So one thing which is happening is a lot of collaboration. So you do know the amount of money that Microsoft has pumped into OpenAI. And then there are the governments which are intervening. There is this whole idea of AI for good, which is on, which is seeing the governments providing subsidies to the organizations, the big organizations pumping money into these early starters and making sure that the cost reduces. And it has indeed happened. I think the newer versions that ChatGPT has come out with, I think are consuming, I don't know the exact amount, you can look up on the web, but in terms of the carbon footprint, it's much lesser than what was. So I think this rapid development and interest from governments and bigger corporations would definitely, help us bring the cost down.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, ma'am, as you said that your humane aspect is, as you're going up the ladder, your leadership, your motivation, that is more required in the long run. Do you think AI or ML anything could replace that after a while in the future?
No, I'm very sure it can't. See, because always remember that AI is always a step behind because it's learning from you. And as humans, the scenarios are always changing with us. There are different situations that keep happening on a daily basis in your personal life too, which requires a completely different reaction and your intuition and gut to come in. So AI kind of lags there and it'll always be a step behind. It can't, yes, maybe it can predict something, but the prediction is again based on how you behaved in the past. What about a completely new situation? Yeah, AI would be quite lost there. So I don't think, yeah,
That's a
I
relief
don't
to
think I'll
know.
ever have a robotic manager ever. I don't think so.
Thank you.
I will create that system which will be stupid enough so that it doesn't take my job away. That was your.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Kunal from PGDM International Business. My question is, how are organizations globally or specific to your organization supporting their own employees in upskilling related to AI?
Yeah, there's a lot of attention and support which is being given. So there are obviously external trainings which are happening across the organization. People have been tasked from each team as the learning catalysts. They are the ones who are exploring the resources. There is the L&D team which are involved, which are curating content, making it available for the employees. There's a lot of gamification happening, hackathons, ideation, to motivate people to think beyond their job and see how they can leverage LLMs, for example, in their jobs and coming up with use cases. So yeah, that's what is happening, at least in my organization.
I just want to, I generally answer this question in a way that I'm going to answer it right now. You see that door? Every door has pull. On the other side, it says push, right? So there is pull from me as an employee, right? And there is a push from the organization, right? There has to be a pull as well. There is a push, what she just mentioned. But if the employee doesn't want to study, or if he's waiting or she's waiting, somebody will come and handhold me. I think it won't work. But I'm sure you got your answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mohammed Alif from PGDM Core. So I was wondering how AI is impacting roles such as yours. Like you guys have to manage people, right? So how is AI impacting your day-to-day activities, and how will it change going forward?
So whatever I'm going to tell you kind of stays in the room. But
definitely.
honestly, I have been harnessing ChatGPT in a big way. And it has saved me a lot of time, especially at the time of appraisals and performance reviews. It's like, you have to generate these reports at least on a quarterly basis as feedback and improvement. And I have saved huge amounts of time there. I have saved huge amounts of time. I think I mentioned before in terms of minutes of the meeting, which are available in a structured fashion, the notes. So yeah, I'm kind of quite excited about the whole thing.
Absolutely. Exactly similar way using Copilot in our organization to manage the notes and, ensuring that reminders come out automatically. I sometimes schedule the emails also at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. just to, bother the other person. I'm just kidding. But I think at the same time, I also encourage my teams to learn AI so that in addition to what I do, if they will do, the power will be exponential, right? Only Ranjan cannot solve problems through AI. And I'm happy to teach them, take sessions so that we all together, achieve what we want to.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. You just talked about learning AI. So how we are interacting with AI is as an end user. So are there another dimension that we can interact? Because when we are interacting with AI, we know how to do prompt engineering, how to give them good prompts. That's the basic one. What are the further and the deeper dimensions that we can interact with the AI? Because generative AI is a very technical skill, getting into the architecture of it. Now, ChatGPT is also going for the plugins and all. This is another dimension. What other dimension can you recommend?
See, I'll give you my perspective. One is, and you brought a great point actually. One is an end user perspective, right? When today morning I was taking a printout for my younger one, I saw a Chat GPT saw a sign on the left. I got to know that this is all copied pasted from Chat GPT. She has done nothing on her own. So one is that aspect. Second is my aspect. I will maybe take a Chat GPT API, right, and then write a code, and whatever somebody else, my users, want to leverage, then the power becomes open. They don't have to they don't have to get into the chat mode, right? It's fine if you want to, but imagine an end-to-end automation, end-to-end. You don't want to get into a chat mode, right? For a manager, for a leader, yes, it's fine because you will require one-off answer in a day. But something which has to be automated in a fully end-to-end manner, I will take that API. Like you can take an API of WhatsApp, you can take an API of Facebook, right? And automate.
Yes.
That's a second way of interacting, right? And third is maybe to learn new features, what they are launching, because then from the end user, from the developer, both perspective, you will be able to enhance your solutions, your perspective.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. My name is Yash Verma, PGDM FM student. So I read somewhere that AI will eat up finance jobs in future. So as a finance student, should I be worried about it, or it's just a myth?
Eat up.
No. I think I've kind of answered it in other ways too. Like I said, AI is going to hugely enhance the finance jobs. So, think about a FP&A team, financial planning and analysis team, which is also responsible for producing investor reports and the quarterly reports and summaries. A financial analyst now can save a lot of time because AI is able to generate the commentary based on the data. Earlier, when that deck had to be produced, so one was producing the KPIs and the graphs. The other was producing a commentary, which could then be published in the investor reports. And that was a huge job because there was the entire public relations, marketing communications, everybody getting involved there. But look at the power which is available in your hand now, where as an analyst, you can spend more time on actually identifying the trends, going deeper into what your data is saying, than worrying about the commentary, stating the obvious. So I really don't think it's going to take up the job or replace the job of a financial analyst, but I think it's really important to learn how to harness it to your advantage. And nowadays, there is a term called BI with AI. That's kind of happening, which is business intelligence with artificial intelligence. And it's all about that you give the model the basic KPIs and the trends and the data, and then you tell them, okay, generate a story and a commentary. And it's done in like a matter of minutes, giving you a lot of time to focus on what needs your focus.
First of all, it's a brilliant question, outstanding question, I must say. And because this question is being asked, as I told earlier, maybe since 20 years, still, people have that fear, but awesome question. Do anyone do here stock trading? Okay, amazing. We know how AI is coming up with recommendations. I don't recommend, please, I'm not recommending anything, but finance as an industry, as she said, stock trading is just an example. The job of a broker or sub-broker has not eliminated. It has become powerful with these tools coming up, right? Again, please don't get into it. I'm not saying anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry, that just triggered something in my mind. The robo advisory models, the automatic stock predictions and forecasts that are coming. So, that have really helped the investment advisors and the broker dealers expand their base of customers. Think about it. Earlier, if they had to do all the calculations, if they had to run all the models on their own, customized to a certain individual, they couldn't take more than 4 or 5 at a time. But look at the power that they have now, democratizing that information, getting the basics ready, and then, giving it that final check before recommending it to 100 other people, which in the past they were only able to do, 5 or 10. So yeah, no worries.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. My name is Kritika. I'm from PGTM Core. I have a law background, and I really wanted to ask that post 1991, obviously, it's easy for ideas to travel from West to country like ours. But what about data privacy? And when we talk about India, we make a law today about a crime or maybe a cyber crime happening yesterday. Then another crime comes up tomorrow. And this is not happening not just on the individual level, but also it comes to companies, countries, and many other organizations. So what's your say on that?
See, I would say, other than AI in parallel, this cybersecurity and data privacy stream is like, I would say, indispensable, right? We cannot, and nobody cannot go towards AI without understanding and learning the stream of data privacy, security. Overall, I will cap it as cybersecurity. Now, first thing we have to understand, I'm not sure if how many of you have seen that video of Mr. Sundar Pichai, where he was, or I think, and Mark Zuckerberg as well, who was being questioned by a senator, right? So he was trying to manage those questions, but he was not answering properly. And I'm telling you, it's again like a push and a pull. They are getting our data, but in the excitement of using those applications, We simply check the checkbox. I have understood the terms and conditions, and I don't care whatever happens in my data. Submit, go ahead. So that's our problem. If you want to keep away yourself, number one, don't use that application, which is not possible. But there is another smart way of doing it. Go to the cookies and manage those cookies. I'm answering your question of data privacy. Okay, let's understand difference. Okay, security is different, privacy is different. Security is again in your hands, right? If you want to click on any URL, any file, we all are responsible. An individual is responsible for his or her own loss or impact. As an organizations, we do everything which is possible. Encryption, certificates, firewalls, reviews, everything, right? However, incidents do occur. And I think we all learn with these things. But I don't know if I've answered your question or not, but data privacy is how you manage your private information. It's on an individual's discretion, to be very clear.
I have a slightly controversial view. So you mentioned you're from a law background. And my personal opinion is that the laws of a country, they are a lot dependent on the social structure around and what is considered important. And if we look at the West, there is a lot of awareness of data privacy or consumer rights in general. And I'm sorry to say, in India, I mean, the consumers have just no rights or no legal recourse. And I feel that our data privacy laws, as a result, don't really match up. So if we look at the multinationals, and that's why I am more comfortable sharing my details with a global organization than with a completely Indian organization, because I know that at least those are governed by much stricter laws when it comes to my privacy. But when it comes to companies which are in our environment and just kind of functioning within India, yeah, they get away. And this jugaad mentality that we have, while it's great, but I think it helps people kind of, squeeze through those laws as well. So one, I think the laws are lax when compared to the West. And the second is people are just not taking them that seriously. And as a consumer, like I said, I'm very, very wary of sharing my data unless it's a known name that I trust.
Thank you so much.
Why are you asking these difficult questions, first of all?
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Sir, actually, I wanted to ask that we have experienced that our phones are listening to us when we are talking to someone about shopping something or they are sending us the notifications for that only. So, is it completely managed by AI? And if yes, so how can we as a user manage this negativity?
Majority of my response will come from the previous question. When we install WhatsApp, when we install any application, we unfortunately, as she said, that while there is no intelligence, don't take me wrong. What I'm trying to say is we don't read the TNC, terms and conditions, but we just say, okay. And nowadays, these applications are so smart that unless and until you don't say okay to all, they won't let you install. And the answer from Mr. Zuckerberg or Mr. Pichai to that senator was, I'm doing this, I'm capturing the information because I want to enhance the user experience. That's absolutely correct. They want to, but at the same time, they're tracking the information because they want to send recommendations to you. And that's what they mean. That's what you mean, that it's listening to us or tracking us. Right? I don't think, and I don't know who, if they will actually misuse that data, they will not, because they will get into infringement, they will get into lawsuits, all of that. But if you want to stay away, maybe take some days off, read those TNCs, and then manage your phone and your systems cookies a little bit well. That may help.
Thank you so much, sir.
So due to the shortage of time, this will be our last question.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Saurabh from PGDM FM first year. I wanted to ask you, what kind of new entry-level jobs might emerge in the finance sector, mainly the investment and the security sector, with the advent of AI?
The question is what kind of new jobs will come up with
New
the,
entry-level jobs.
sorry,
New entry-level jobs.
new entry, yeah, new jobs which will come up in the market because of AI in the finance domain,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. See, I think I will answer maybe new jobs. It is a difficult question for me to forecast, but at the same time, the jobs will get smarter. She just mentioned that BI with AI. Today, our finance team do journal entries, we do budgeting, we do financial analytics, where we recommend, we do reporting, lots of reporting, we do reconciliations. All of that job is being done. First of all, I will say all of these activities will be fully automated. Number one, the job of the financial analyst is to look at the anomalies. They will not have to create or do the job L0. You remember I was telling about L0 versus L1 versus L2. Today, we are doing L0. So now the L1 job will be the ground level or base job, which means I will not do journal entries. I will not do budgeting. I will not do financial planning, which means I will not do the base work. I will do planning, but I will look at the data which has come up, like dashboards, and then maybe the prescription also will come up. And then I will say that where my investments should go in the next year in infrastructure, travel or banking, whatever. That is kind of the job which will get evolve. New jobs, I don't know if they're, honestly, I don't know. I cannot predict forecast about the new type of jobs.
Yeah. Just adding on, Ranjan's kind of covered it. So like he said, the L1 jobs will be the new L0 job. So your learning curve is non-existent. So when you kind of, you are expected to hit the ground running now. So it's not that company, if you get into investment banking or stock trading, they're not going to give you time to learn fundamental research. These are table stakes. When you interview for the company, you should be knowing what are the models which are running to predict, the price of the equity, so on and so forth. You should have the know-how to be able to harness all these different information and publicly available data and synthesize it into recommendations. There will be no time given to people to kind of come up the curve is what I see happening. And yeah, I don't know what kind of new jobs, but the curve will not be there. So you have to go fully prepared, given that all the information is so readily available now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
With this, the Q&A ends here. As we reach to the end of the event, I would like to call Vidya Shankar and Ankush to please present memento as a token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for giving us your precious time and valuable insights on the most in-demand topic. Your words, I am sure, have stimulated all of us present here and surely encourage us to think and divulge deep.